This world can be a crazy place. Politics, faith, and deception. Sometimes it's hard to know what's real. Welcome to the truth.
We are told that these people spent 40 years wandering around in the desert. They escaped as slaves from Egypt and so forth. There is not a shred of archaeological or historical evidence outside of the Bible that this is even true, that it ever even happened.
Thousands of Jews are supposedly enslaved by an Egyptian pharaoh. I don't want to sound like Mel Gibson's dad here, but we can't find any evidence of that. None. So Moses, we have no evidence of Moses. None.
Oh, this is just my favorite. This one's my favorite. I got to confess this to you. The reason this one's my favorite is because this is just totally false. Now, let me first point out, though, that even if we didn't have any extra biblical records of Moses, the Egyptian captivity, and the Exodus, if the Bible lined up historically and archaeologically in other places, which it does, we have the Ebla tablets verifying much of what we know in the Bible about Abraham. You can do a Google on that. The discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls. We have documented evidence now of Nebuchadnezzar. Critics had been saying for years that there's no Nebuchadnezzar. That was all made up. It's in the Bible, but it's nowhere in history. Now we have thousands of bricks that we uncovered in Iraq with Nebuchadnezzar's name inscribed on them. In fact, we even found records of Nebuchadnezzar talking about the Tower of Babel and that he wanted to rebuild it. And he also talked about how languages were split up and it was called the Tongue Tower in his writings. So we have a whole lot of historical documentation of the Bible's accuracy. So we have a whole lot of historical documentation establishing the scriptures. So even if we didn't have extra biblical documents on Moses and on the Egyptian captivity, we still could comfortably say, well, the Bible lines up everywhere else. We're going to take its word for it. But, big but, we do have historical evidence of the Egyptian captivity. We do. Okay. Josephus, a Jewish historian just after Christ, quoted from two ancient Egyptian scholars. They spoke of the Israelites being in Egypt and leaving to the area of Palestine or modern Israel. They even give a date of about 1400 to 1500 BC, which is the exact time frame that the Bible gives. So, right away, we have two sources right there already. Now, they don't name Moses by name, but they do talk about the Israelites being captives in Egypt, and they talk about them being freed. Now, let me go a step further. We have a Greek historian named Diodorus Siculus who lived from 80 BC to 20 years before Christ. Now, what he actually said, I'll quote some of it for you. In ancient times, there happened to be a great plague in Egypt, as many ascribed to the cause of it a god, who was offended with them because there were many strangers in the land. Israelites were strangers in the land. And it also just verified the plagues. Let me carry on because it even gets more interesting. Let's see. The Egyptians concluded, therefore, that unless all strangers were driven out of the country, they should never be freed from their miseries. Okay? Let's see. Who they retired to the province now called Judea, Israel. In other words, the Egyptians were receiving plagues because of God, and so they wanted to kick these strangers out, and they went to Judea, and they were led by Moses, and Moses ordained that they should have no images of the gods because there was only one deity. So we just established from a Greek historian, not a Jewish historian, secular history here, that Moses, by name, led these people from Egypt after the plagues to the area of Israel. Okay, so yeah, there is historical evidence for these events. Next.
These guys want to play in the realm of science. They want to claim we have evidence for our beliefs. Okay, what is it?
Bang!
An important question is, did Jesus actually exist? Within the community of people who study this stuff, there are some who are skeptics. I would be willing to go so far as to say there probably was a man named Jesus.
You'd do that for us? You'd go so far as to say that Jesus is a real historical figure for us? Oh, I can't believe you'd do that, considering that we have so much evidence of Jesus' existence. First of all, you have the Gospels written about the guy being distributed all over the place. We found a copy of the Gospel in Egypt dating to around 90 A.D., let alone all the fragments that you have in the Dead Sea Scrolls that even refer to Jesus. Now, secular history, we have Tacitus, we have Suetonius, we have Lucian, we have Pliny the Younger, Thales, Mara Bar Sapien, probably pronouncing some of these wrong, Phlegon, whatever, Josephus. So the point is that there's tons of even secular historians that refer to Jesus, that refer to his followers, that refer to his death, even his miracles. So there's no question that Jesus is a historical figure. Don't act like it's graceful for you to give us that Jesus really existed. I mean, we don't even have any documentation of Alexander the Great until 200 years after he lived? But you don't question if Alexander the Great's real. That's absurd. Go to part 3. It's over there, or I have no idea. One of the sides of your screen will probably have part 3 on it. Go there and I'll see you over there.